If you are in the live streaming industry, then you must pay attention. Perhaps the world you see with your naked eye is not the real picture. I was a private detective running an adult shop. Because I got caught up in investigating a missing person case, I entered a strange world and became a streamer. I never would have imagined that during my first live stream, I actually encountered a female ghost. Fortunately, I had a heavenly thunder talisman that I got from a friend. In addition, there is an enlightened master in the viewer. Guided by the advice of the master. Only then did he escape a disaster. 3 days later, the second live broadcast assignment quickly arrived. Around 8 p.m. My phone received another call automatically. Several eerie children's laughter could be heard from the phone. Let's play a game. If you can find me before dawn, I will let you go. Otherwise, you will stay with me forever. The call was disconnected. Shortly after, a new message appeared in the mailbox. The ghost doll hidden in the last compartment is waiting to be opened. She wants to ask you where your lost left hand is. I looked at the mission text of the live broadcast, feeling uneasy and fearful. This time, there is no thunder talisman protection during the live stream. I reckon it's hard to avoid death this time. What's strange to me is that as far as I remember, there is no school like this in Jiang City. After checking online, I found out that this school had ceased operation completely 5 years ago. The official reason has not been disclosed. Various rumors and speculations abound among netizens. I took a taxi to Xianhu High School, but even the taxi driver was not aware of such a place. It took me over 2 hours to finally arrive at the destination. The surrounding environment was overgrown with waist-high weeds and smelly ditches scattered across wasteland. In the depths, I saw the campus that had been forgotten outside the urban area. Seeing that it was already 11 o'clock, I plunged into the wilderness and struggled to move forward. However, not long after, I was blocked by a row of rusty iron fences. After climbing over the fence and walking inside, I arrived at the main gate of the school. The gate, painted black, was locked with 2 red locks. Just as I was concentrating on observing, I suddenly felt a chill on my calf. I quickly jumped away. I saw a black cat crouching at my feet. Its eyes were glowing green. It tilted its head quite humanly, and then swiftly darted into the abandoned school. I only relaxed my nerves at this point. If this goes on a few more times, I'll end up with nervous breakdown sooner or later. Successfully arrived at the destination. My second live stream has begun. Gathering images. Connecting barrage comments. Stable data. Live broadcast started. Welcome. The Teletubby was murdered. To the live room. Welcome. Officer Huang from Class 2, Grade 3. Into the live room. Just started broadcasting. Several familiar names appeared in the live room. Oh my God! Streamer is still alive. That's great. Streamer. We all thought you had already left. The funeral wreath has been arranged. Where are you planning to take risks tonight? Unit 1 standby completed. You can call the police at any time. Welcome back to the live broadcast room, everyone. The place we are going tonight. It's quite thrilling to talk about it. Xianhu High School was originally a noble academy. It was mysteriously closed 5 years ago. After an online investigation. Some people said that a fire led to delayed evacuation and a stampede occurred. It was later blocked by the academic department. Some people also said that a male student at the school committed suicide by jumping off a building because he had been bullied for a long time. The vengeful spirit did not disperse in the days after death. Every night, people would inexplicably jump off the building to commit suicide. The specific truth is unknown. Tonight, I will lead you to unravel all the mysteries. Intuition tells me that there must be something fishy in the women's locker room. Thousands of people are eager for the streamer to investigate. The person upstairs has a shallow knowledge and poor skills. I, a humble monk, observe the stars at night. I have come to the same conclusion as the person upstairs. The two fellow cultivators are in agreement. You want me to say? The female restroom still has heavier negative energy. Scum of the earth. Get lost. Xianhu High School is very big. To be on the safe side, I have decided to start exploring and searching from the teaching building nearest to the main gate first. Let's see if there are any discoveries to be made. After entering the teaching building, I finally realized that the speculations about the fire and stampede incidents online were not groundless. Because I found that the walls of the stairs all had traces of being scorched by fire. The handrails have also all fallen off. If people walk on them carelessly, they might fall down. I walked on the first floor corridor. Late at night, I looked into the empty classrooms where no one was present. Rows of desks and chairs were quietly placed there. There was also a kind of inexplicable horror. No surprises. All classrooms on the first floor are empty. They are lined with charred walls. I walked to the second floor. I went through classroom 15 of grade 1 and classroom 22 of grade 2, but still did not find anything. I began to doubt myself, feeling like I was making a big deal out of nothing. I walked quickly to the third floor. Empty. Still empty. I finally relieved my anxious heart. But just as I looked towards the last classroom on the third floor, through the window, I saw 4 dark figures looming next to the podium. One hand slipped, the camera fell to the ground in an instant. I was scared and took 2 steps back. If there hadn't been a railing behind me, I would have almost fallen down. My heart was pounding. Is it a person or a ghost? Stay calm. Perhaps it's just a human statue. I picked up the camera. When I approached the window again, nothing was there. The 4 dark shadows were gone. At that moment, I broke out in a cold sweat. I didn't even bother to check the barrage in the live broadcast room. My body moved towards the stairs. The door of the classroom creaked open at this moment. There came out 2 boys and 2 girls carrying school bags. They looked like a few children. My nervous heart also relaxed. After a brief communication, I learned that they were students from a nearby school who had heard about the haunting here and specially came to test their courage. Kids these days are really fearless. In other words, no trouble, no death. Underworld show sets its live broadcast location here. It indicates that there may really be ghosts here. Originally, I wanted to force them to leave. Later, I thought that if my attitude was too forceful, maybe it will even cause them to rebel and come back secretly. Alright. Since you guys don't want to leave, can you take me to play that dare game together? I am a streamer investigating supernatural events, and I am quite interested in this area. I said these words only to protect them. But what I didn't expect was that the real nightmare started from this. You have to come with us. The oldest boy looked at me. His eyes shone brightly in the dark night. I don't know why it reminded me of just now. That black cat I met at the door. Anyway, you all want to play. Adding me won't affect anything. It's really not a big deal. I'll just film from the side. You guys play your game. Adding Fei Shui to the group will make exactly 4 of us, so we can play the game we've been wanting to play. A slightly younger boy squeezed in front of me. Hello? I'm Xiao Mu, and he's my brother, Fei Shui. That boy with short hair is my classmate, Mengxin. The youngest girl who doesn't talk much is called Ingzi. Actually, we just played a few games earlier, such as Pen Fairy, Disc Fairy, etc. But they were of no use at all. Now there is only one game left that we haven't played. It's a game for 4 people. We are short of 1 person. You joining will make it exactly 4. Not enough. Aren't there exactly 4 of you? Xiao Mu's words are filled with mystery. Ingzi doesn't play games. She is very timid and never wants to play with us. I looked past the 3 people in front, and saw Ingzi standing shyly at the back, always lowering her head and not fond of talking. Alright, I will play with you this time. Remember, after playing, hurry back home. It's so late, sneaking out like this would surely worry your family. This game is called 4 Corners with 4 People. The rules are as follows. At midnight, in a square room, each person stands at one of the room's 4 corners facing the wall. The game starts with one person walking from their corner to another corner, lightly tapping the shoulder of the person there and staying in that corner. Then, the tapped person follows the same method, walking to another corner and tapping the shoulder of the next person. Everyone moves in a clockwise direction in this manner. However, if you reach a corner with no one there, you must first cough, then walk past that corner and continue until you meet the next person. After hearing the rules, I didn't find this to be a very scary game, it's just that simple. But as you mentioned, there always seems to be one corner empty. This game can never end. Xiao Mu pressed her face against the window, looking into the classroom. It's not necessarily the case. According to friends who have played before, when no one coughs in the room, it means that each corner has a person in this four-person game. But as they play, a fifth person may appear. With his explanation, I suddenly felt some regret. It sounds even scarier than playing the Ouija board. If you are truly afraid, four people can close their eyes and say together, "The game ends and we can leave." But remember, all four people must say it together. If one person disagrees, the game will continue. I glanced at my phone. The viewers in the live stream room were also cheering along. Some even threatened to give rewards. "Alright, shall we play in this classroom?" "No. This classroom is too small. Fei Shui in this building said there is a special classroom. Let's go there." I followed them all the way to the top floor, stopping at the door of the last classroom on the left. Looking in from the window, the desks and chairs in this classroom have been cleared out, leaving only the blackboard, podium, and a rusty ceiling fan hanging overhead. According to legend, the reason this classroom has been emptied out is because of a girl from a poor family. The girl's parents need to work multiple jobs to afford the tuition fees, so she is different compared to other students. She is very dedicated. She studies and reads every day, listens attentively in class during the day. After everyone left the classroom at night, she didn't want to leave. She stayed in the classroom, holding a flashlight to continue studying. One day later, the girl who stayed in the classroom late at night was targeted by several rich young men. They played with her a few times. The girl, unable to bear the humiliation, jumped from the fourth floor and died of suffocation. Although her body disappeared, it is said that her soul returns to the classroom every night to read and study. "Stop talking." Xiao Mu Mengxian screamed to stop Xiao Mu from getting more and more excited. "You are scared." Mengxian, dissatisfied, pursed his lips and said, "No way. I'm just afraid of scaring Yingzi. Stop making noise. Let's start now. Fei Shui is the oldest. Once he speaks." The others stopped speaking. "And you? In this game, the room must be kept in absolute darkness. Not a glimmer of light. Let Yingzi watch you from outside with the camera." I nodded and placed the camera on the windowsill. I pretended to lock my phone but actually just turned on the camera function. This way, the live stream wouldn't be interrupted. Xiao Mu called us together for a moment. I went in first and stood in the lower left corner. Then Streamer, you entered second and stood in the upper left corner. Next, Fei Shui entered third and stood in the upper right corner. Finally, Mengxian went in and stood in the lower right corner. After everyone is in position, Mengxian coughs. I will start walking first. Everyone follows in a clockwise direction. When I tap Streamer on the shoulder, Streamer will start walking. If someone is in an empty corner, they cough and continue walking. Don't stop. Everyone remembers the rules, right? Okay, let's begin. In the pitch-black classroom with no light, visibility is less than half a meter. I stand up straight, unable to see even my own shoes clearly. Before long, Mengxian's cough is heard in the classroom, and the footsteps behind me become clearer and clearer. I face the wall. Although I know it's Xiao Mu coming behind me, I can't help but feel nervous inside. Pat. My shoulder was lightly tapped. I understood instantly. I turned in a clockwise direction. I walked towards a corner. Slowly. I saw a black human silhouette. It was too dark. Even though I was very close, I couldn't be sure it was Fei Shui. I raised my hand and lightly tapped on the shoulder of the black shadow. I stopped at the corner. I watched the black shadow move slowly. Then it disappeared into the darkness. The wait felt long in this classroom. The concept of time became somewhat blurry. I silently counted seconds. After about a minute, the first cough was heard in the classroom. It was Mengxian. Not long after, someone else walked over in the darkness. My shoulder was gently tapped. Move forward again. This feels like a cycle that never ends. A second cough sounded, very quietly. I couldn't tell who it came from. But based on my deduction, the sound should be from Fei Shui. The third round of the game begins. My shoulder is tapped. I start to grope forward. If nothing unexpected happens this time, I should pass by that deserted corner. Every step in the darkness is difficult. No one knows what awaits ahead. 1 step, 2 steps. The hand reaching out finally touches a solid wall. There's no one in this corner. I breathe a sigh of relief. The game has been normal so far. I cough and continue to walk towards the next corner, exploring and moving forward. Accompanied by the tapping footsteps, a dark figure waits ahead. The game proceeds as normal. Until the 7th round. Just when I was losing patience and feeling a bit numb, the coughing sound disappears. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The coughing sound never reappears. But the tapping footsteps can still be heard very clearly. There is one more person in the room. It is obvious that there is one more person in the room. I resisted the curiosity and did not look back. I just observed with my peripheral vision. The signal light of the camera placed by the window kept flashing. Among them, Ingzi, the youngest one, did not participate in the game. She stood aside like a corpse, not moving at all. If it wasn't Ingzi who joined the game, then whose footsteps were extra? Listen to me, everyone. It seems like we have an extra person in our game. This person is going to change the rules of the game. Xiao Mu's voice was drifting in the classroom. The basic rules remain the same as before, but an additional rule has been added. When you tap the shoulder of the person in front of you, you need to say your own name. The game continues. The footsteps are still ongoing. I was considering whether to forcibly end the game when my back was suddenly tapped and a deep voice sounded in the empty room. I am Xiao Mu. I sensed something was wrong. The person's voice sounded like they were talking with food in their mouth. I didn't dare to turn around and walk towards the next corner. I am a streamer. The person in front heard this sentence and left unsteadily. I stood nervously in the corner. The game went on for 7 rounds. I remembered the position changes in each round. My position and Xiao Mu's were normal. This means the extra person should be between Fei Shui and Mengxin, or between Mengxin and Xiao Mu. Time is still passing by. In the classroom, only the sound of footsteps remains. My back was lightly tapped again, and I am Mengxin. The sound startled me and made my hair stand on end. How did she run to my back? I didn't turn around in the darkness. I took stiff steps forward. But I didn't go far. Another faint voice came to my ear. Some games should not be played casually. Especially in a place like this. This shouldn't be happening. In the classroom, you could only hear the sound of one person's footsteps each time. Where did Xiao Mu and Fei Shui go? When I walked to the next corner, there was no one there. At this moment, I felt overwhelmed by endless fear. I reached out and touched the wall in front of me, coughed lightly, and walked towards the next corner. Could it be that the 5th person has already left, leaving an empty space? My brain was still spinning rapidly. Suddenly, I was startled by the situation in front of me. There was still no one at the 2nd corner. I quickened my pace towards the 3rd corner. There was no one at the 4th corner. Still no one. I walked while touching the wall. My lips are dry. Could they have been following me all along? I suddenly turned back. But in front of me, there was only darkness. The footsteps stopped. Only I was moving. No way. Could it be that none of them, except me, are human? I looked towards the window. The camera signal light flickered. The girl named Ingzi was also gone. In the darkness, only I stood in the corner. I can no longer stay calm. I rushed towards the window. It was the only source of light in my sight. I pushed open the window and leaped onto the corridor. I quickly fled from the dark room. My limbs felt weak as I sat down on the ground. Ha! So it turns out that even adults are scaredy cats. Following the sound, I looked over and saw them hiding behind the classroom door, laughing happily. Seeing that it was just a prank, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I stood up, took back the camera, and then prepared to send them home quickly. I glanced at the few people in front of me, and then suddenly realized that one was missing. Where is Mengxin, the girl with short hair? She hasn't come out yet. I hope she didn't get so scared in there that she wet her pants. Xiao Mu had a big grin on her face. I turned pale with fright and I still haven't come out yet. Fei Shui noticed that my expression was off. Was it because you saw through Xiao Mu's prank and came out early too? No. I didn't see through his prank. I just searched the entire classroom, all 4 corners, and only rushed out when I found that there was no one else there. Now we are all a little panicked. We all entered the classroom one after another to search. But the classroom was empty and quiet. No one was there. Meng Xin disappeared inexplicably right under our noses. The silent teaching building echoed with the shouts of Fei Shui and a few others. But no one answered. At this moment, I thought of Yingzi, who did not participate in the game. She has been standing outside the classroom all this time. She should have seen something. I crouched in front of Yingzi and asked. But the only response I got was a shake of the head. Yingzi has always given me a strange feeling. Her eyes remained lifeless, staring at the ground. Talking to her was like she didn't hear anything, or she just shook her head. No way. I could only search building by building. You three, stay close to me. Don't get lost again. I picked up the camera and walked up the front of the group. When they were not paying attention, I quietly took out my phone to review the playback of the recording just now. The image was very blurry, with only a faint light passing by the window. But it was this brief brightness that recorded a very thrilling scene. Just now, in that classroom, someone had been following behind me. Sure enough, someone was lying. I didn't expose it. After searching in vain from the teaching building, I hurried with the three children to the laboratory building. The door of the laboratory building was locked and sealed with a seal that was intact. All the windows were sealed and locked as well, except for one window that was halfway open. I raised the camera with one hand and entered the room. It seemed to be an art classroom, with old drawing boards stacked up in the corner. I waved the light from my phone and suddenly saw a dull human face. It startled me, but upon closer inspection, I realized it was just a plastic model. The plastic model is signed by Junjiagua, and on the back, it is filled with a lot of dirty words. It is clear that this Junjiagua is a poor soul who is being ostracized. Let's go, urged Mengxin Xiaomu. You won't find him here. He doesn't seem too worried about Mengxin. Instead, his eyes are shining with excitement. I used my phone as a flashlight as we walked into the pitch-dark corridor, moving step by step along the wall. Just then, there was a thud. Someone seemed to have kicked something over. The sound was faint but stood out in the silent laboratory building. Originally, they thought it was just a few of them walking and accidentally kicking something, so they didn't pay much attention to it. However, not long after, that strange sound rang out again. The sound didn't come from our side. It sounded really harsh, as if there were other people in the building. We followed the sound to investigate little by little. Along the way, we passed by the stairs leading to the second floor. When the light shone, there were exactly 12 steps. Xiao Mu mysteriously whispered, "Have you ever heard the story of the 13 steps? Legend has it that if you come to the school at midnight, an extra step will appear on the usual 12 steps. By stepping on that extra step, you can enter another world. Can you please be quiet for a moment?" Fei Shui pushed Xiao Mu to the corner of the wall and said, "Stop telling those stories. There are no ghosts in the world." What I heard was that by stepping on that step, one would see their appearance after death because the 13th step is one's own corpse. Before coming here, the term, 13th step, appeared in the live broadcast mission prompts. I even specifically searched the internet for various versions. If you want to listen, after finding Mengxin, I can talk to you for 3 days and 3 nights. The four of us walked to the deepest part of the first floor of the laboratory building. And just then, that strange sound suddenly stopped. Surprisingly, the source of the sound turned out to be a restroom. I picked up the camera and looked at the phone screen. If there is anything dirty inside the restroom, it should be able to be captured. I pushed open the restroom door. At first glance, I saw a huge mirror above the wash basin, full of cracks and dust. There were scarlet characters written in paint saying, "Kill you all. Kill all of you. Go die. Mengxin, are you here?" There was no response. I tried to push open the door of the cubicle, and at that moment, a voice suddenly came from behind, saying, "Wait." Xiaomu didn't know when he came in. He grabbed my hand as I pushed the door. "Streamer, you should be aware of the taboos in the restroom. Pushing open a slightly open door late at night may be grabbed by the ghost dolls trapped inside. The school used to have a girl named Huazi. It is said that at the age of 16, she got pregnant by someone. The boy transferred schools and disappeared without a trace. In the end, Huazi committed suicide in this restroom." I remained expressionless, shaking off Xiao Mu's hand, and pushed open the first door. Moss was growing in the middle of the shattered ceramic pieces. There was nothing inside. Xiaomu ran to the second door at this moment, looking mysterious, and said to me, "Before opening the door, you should knock and ask." Saying that, he raised his hand and knocked on the freshly painted door, asking, "Is anyone there, Miss Huazi? I am here to play with you." Strange behavior, a deep voice, plus this particular environment. A sense of inexplicable fear arose. I took a deep breath, raised the camera at the fastest speed, and quickly opened the doors one by one in sequence. Bang! I kept opening them until the last door. The familiar thumping sound appeared again. At this point, I couldn't care too much. I kicked the door open. A loud noise echoed through the experimental building. Inside the compartment was a plush toy with its head twisted off. Upon closer observation, I noticed that there were two not-so-clear Chinese characters written on the belly of the plush toy. Due to the font being slightly blurred, maybe due to time, I could only half recognize and half guess what was written. Is this a coincidence? I took the opportunity to casually discard the toy while Xiaomu and Fei Shui were not paying attention. I told them there was nothing there. I kept a straight face and called for them to go out together and search again. Leave the first floor bathroom. We arrived at the second floor. When Xiaomu was going upstairs, he even specifically counted the steps under his feet. What disappointed him was that there was not an extra step. Most classrooms on the second floor were locked. Only the doors to the music room and health room could be opened. I pushed open the door to the health room while holding the camera. Various medicines were placed haphazardly in the cabinet by the door. Scattered on the floor were loose medical records. I bent down to pick up a medical record. Due to long-term dampness, the handwriting on it was very blurry. But I could vaguely see the three characters. Junjigua. It seems that the child is a frequent visitor here. Not only does he suffer mental abuse, but his body is also frequently tortured. However, what's strange is that all the photos on the medical records have been torn off. The appearance of that child seems to be a secret that the school cannot disclose. I pulled aside the bedside curtain. On the old, worn-out hospital bed, there were puddles of bloodstains that looked horrifying. Even though it had been a long time, I still felt a shiver down my spine. What really happened 5 years ago? Why was there so much bloodshed? I rummaged through the cabinet and finally found the most recent medical record dated close to today. Falling from a height. Pelvic fracture. Massive internal bleeding. Skull fracture. These symptoms make me think of the rumors online about this school. Before the school was completely shut down, multiple students had died from jumping off buildings. The medical records kept in the cabinet indirectly proved that the jumping incidents were not just rumors. Looking at the blood-stained bedding, I am somewhat puzzled. In a normal school, the proper protocol for a student jumping off a building would be to isolate the scene, then call 110 and 120. The body should never be moved without authorization. I consecutively examined several medical records, and my expression became serious. Before the school was shut down, there were already 5 cases of students jumping off buildings. If we exclude those deliberately concealed, I estimate that the number of suicides could be much higher. The cause of death seems to be a key piece of the puzzle. I lifted the curtain beside the second bed. The blood-soaked sheets were crumpled together, stained black. I picked up the severely decayed sheets, revealing a school uniform wrapped inside. Despite the strong stench, I unfolded the uniform on the bed. Xiao Wang. There was a 3-word name on the school badge on the chest of the uniform, but the last word was too blurry to read clearly. As I opened the curtains of several more beds, the situation was similar. As I walked to the last bed, just as my hand was about to pull back the curtain, I suddenly felt someone touching me from inside. Mengshin, I took 2 steps back. The touch I felt just now told me there was definitely something hiding inside. I turned my phone light to the maximum. The edge of the curtain was moving up and down. Is it you? Say something. No one responded. I approached again. My hand grabbed the edge of the curtain. Ding ding ding. Suddenly I stepped into another music classroom in the corridor. Urgent piano sounds came from inside. I was so scared that my hands trembled. In the end, I didn't dare to open it. I quickly headed towards the classroom where the sound was coming from. Just as I left, in the last bed of the infirmary, a plastic model arm slowly reached out. I ran to the end of the corridor in one breath. 3 children were gathered around the piano. It was you who were playing just now. You ask him. It's all this guy's good deeds. Fei Shui pushed Xiao Mu in front of me. Xiao Mu is a bit wrong. You really wronged me this time. I didn't even touch the piano. Ingzi and I were both in the corridor. At that time, there was only you in the room. It wasn't you who played. Did it play by itself? Fei Shui is getting a little impatient at this point. Xiao Mu looked helpless. Her voice was very stubborn. It's not me. It's not me. There must be something else in this room. Nonsense. Let me tell you. If we don't find Mengshan today, don't even think about going back. Okay. Don't argue. Maybe it really wasn't him playing the music. At that moment, footsteps could be heard outside in the hallway. The footsteps grew louder and clearer as they approached. Mengshan Fei Shui let go and immediately ran towards the door. I reached out with the first instinct to stop him, but missed. At this moment, the footsteps stopped at the door. Fei Shui looked hopefully towards the door. But what she saw was a stunned expression. A plastic model face protruded into the room. Seeing that model face, my whole body was covered in goosebumps. Without hesitation, I grabbed the camera and smashed it towards the doll. Fei Shui was scared pale. Her legs went weak and she was frozen in place. Let's go! I shouted. The camera smashed onto the doll's head. A few drops of what I couldn't tell if it was paint or fresh blood splattered around. I turned around and found several children scared stiff. I kicked the doll away and ran. I retraced my steps to the first floor. I turned around and quickly picked up Ingzi, running towards the first floor. The kick just now felt like it hit real flesh. How could this mannequin move on its own? I hurried to the first floor, about to head to the art room. The half-open door actually opened by itself. Just then, another blank, lifeless model face poked out from it. In a state of panic, we finally had no choice but to hide in the restroom deep on the first floor. I squeezed into the last stall with Ingzi and Xiao Mu, while the larger Fei Shui hid in the second-to-last stall. The footsteps of the dolls echoed in the corridor. And one of the footsteps was getting closer and closer to the restroom. Clack, clack, clack. Fortunately, the sound passed by the restroom after a while and did not come in, just passed by the door. Just as we were about to catch our breath, that tormenting sound actually turned back. Stopped at the restroom door. After a long time, there was still no movement. Just when we thought the doll had left. With a creak, the door outside the restroom was pushed open. The wooden door of the first stall was forced open. Quickly. The third, fourth were also opened. Until the fifth. That was exactly where Fei Shui was hiding. Please don't kill me. As Fei Shui screamed. I pushed open the wooden door and picked up Ingzi, running frantically towards the outside. At this moment, my own safety was uncertain. I couldn't care less and just fled for my life. When my feet touched the desolate land again, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. After what had just happened, I immediately called for Xiao Mu to take Ingzi home and then called the police. But strangely, Xiao Mu firmly refused. And it seems like there's something else implied in her words. I won't stay with her. You should take care of her. Xiao Mu's words puzzled me a lot. I looked at the pitch-black laboratory building. I could faintly hear Fei Shui's desperate cries. I checked the equipment. The camera is still functioning properly. The barrage in the live room has been flooding non-stop. The popularity has already exceeded 500. Just as I was contemplating my next move, Xiao Mu suddenly tugged at me from behind. My clothes were pulled to the other side. Suddenly, in a very hoarse voice, "Streamer, have you noticed that Ingzi is acting very strangely?" His words triggered many assumptions in my mind. I casually asked, "What's so strange about it? Isn't she friends with you guys?" Xiao Mu's face showed an unpleasant expression. "I'm not familiar with her. This girl was brought back by Fei Shui. Mengshan, Fei Shui, and I all live nearby. Since we were young, we've always heard the adults talk about the isolated place. There is a haunted school that cannot be entered casually. As we grew older, we almost forgot about this place. Just when we were about to forget, Ingzi suddenly appeared. Every day, she would sit with the three of us on the way back home from evening self-study. You should know that it's already 8 or 9 o'clock when we finish our evening self-study. This little girl is actually wandering alone on the streets. Does she not have any family?" After careful consideration, I realized that there were actually many contradictions in Xiao Mu's words. But I didn't point them out. It was just a few days ago. Mengxin started talking to Ingzi. She felt sorry for Ingzi wandering alone outside, so she decided to invite us to together escort Ingzi back home. As a result, the address she provided was right behind the school. I was surprised to hear this because I had conducted an investigation online before setting out. Behind the school is an incineration pit. It can be used to burn and dispose of garbage, as well as to destroy evidence by burning corpses, which is why you appeared here. Xiao Mu's voice became increasingly low. Yes. Now, thinking about Ingzi and the rumors circulating in the campus. The name, Ghost Doll Huazi, is only one letter off. Do you think they might be the same person? Or maybe the same ghost? At this moment, I also recalled various behaviors of Ingzi. They are indeed different from ordinary people. Logically speaking, encountering such a young girl, even if not scared to tears in that situation just now, one should still scream a few times. But she was calm to a somewhat excessive extent. I am very curious why you waited until now to tell me such an important thing. If you hadn't seen those moving dolls, would you believe what I said? From the beginning, I have been telling you all kinds of legends about this school. But you never took it to heart. Now Mengxin and Fei Shui have been killed one after another. I might be next, and you probably won't escape either. Xiao Mu lowered her head, walked silently for a while, and suddenly stopped. Say something shocking. We can't just sit and wait to die. Let's join forces and kill Ingzi. At this moment, Xiao Mu's young face showed a hint of sickness, his eyes shining like a black cat. Whether Ingzi is a human or a ghost, everything is just your speculation. Your actions are considered murder without evidence. I patted Xiao Mu's shoulder, turned around, and left. In the eerie campus, Ingzi sat alone by the flower bed, like an abandoned doll. I picked up Ingzi and decided to take her home first. Even though the live broadcast task is essential, I couldn't watch the little girl die here. I walked towards the school gate, but before taking a few steps, Ingzi, who had never spoken before, suddenly leaned over and whispered in my ear. You should leave now. They are all ghosts. I was shocked. Who should I believe? If it weren't for the lingering warmth of the girl's voice in my ear, I might have doubted whether she actually said that just now. At that moment, Xiao Mu, who was far behind me, caught up. He had a rattan stick in his hand and gestured at me with his eyes, indicating that I should take action. Both of them seemed to be trying to manipulate me. I stopped in my tracks, pondering the best course of action. It seems impossible to leave through the school gate now. I glanced at the live stream on my phone. At this moment, all kinds of comments were flying in the barrage. Streamer, you should pay more attention. Xiao Mu is definitely a ghost. He has been trying to manipulate you from the beginning. That game Four Corners is all about you. One person playing with 3 ghosts. Nonsense. This child is most likely just mentally ill. How could it be a ghost? It is that Ingzi. The weird and odd behavior is just not normal. Agreed. Earlier on the live stream, the camera was very close to Ingzi's face. I observed for a long time. She didn't even show any expression changes during such a long time. Definitely a case of no signs of life. Which typical high school student would casually say something like murder? Ghost is Xiao Mu. If guessed incorrectly. I live stream washing my hair upside down. Is there a professional who can come out and clarify this? Is Taoist Lu there? Called Doist. Over. Why are you calling those fake fortune tellers? I bet 100 hell money. Xiao Mu is a ghost. It's a bit embarrassing to take out 100 hell money. Teeling Biao Yi rewards the super thrilling live broadcast room. 999 hell money. I bet 999 hell money. They are all ghosts. Biao Yi is domineering. I've figured out who is human and who is ghost among them. It's just not the time yet. To prevent the ghosts from getting angry and retaliating, the show must go on. Currently, Mengxin has not been found. Fei Shui is probably in a dangerous situation. There seems to be no trace of Mengxin inside the experimental building. She should be somewhere else. I walked up to the two of them and told them not to give up hope. If we lose our composure, in the end, I'm afraid no one will be able to make it out alive. After giving them encouragement, I picked up the camera and prepared to head towards the next building. Other than the laboratory building, the closest building to the academic building is the women's dormitory. The women's dormitory is inherently gloomy. The building is sandwiched between the men's dormitory and the academic building, making it difficult for sunlight to shine through. Just arrived downstairs. Xiao Mu's reaction seemed very resistant. Entered the women's dormitory building. If you want to go in, you can go in. I'm not going in. In the pitch-black hallway. Occasionally, there were a few strange sounds. Just looking at it from the outside was eerie. The entrance of the apartment is where the administrator lives. The room is not locked. After entering, besides the bed and wardrobe, there is a huge notice board. Several notices are posted on it regarding the death of Meng Tingshin in bed 4118. The police have investigated the matter and concluded it as suicide. The school has initiated psychological intervention measures. In order to accommodate female students on the same floor who are afraid to return to their own dorm rooms at night, the school has arranged temporary accommodation in Building 1. The notice was issued on a day in April 5 years ago. I rubbed my chin. The police intervened in the death of a student at Xianhu High School. When I was studying at the police academy 5 years ago, I don't remember any of the instructors mentioning it. I tore down the notice and stuffed it in my pocket. I found a bunch of keys in the administrator's drawer, each labeled with a dormitory number. The notice provided 2 pieces of information. The deceased was named Meng Tingshin and her dormitory number was 4118. The names Meng Tingshin and Mengshin differ by just 1 character. Is this implying something? I walked out of the room with the keys in my hand. Xiao Mu and Ingzi were standing outside the door. I waved to both of them to tell them I was going upstairs for a while. I asked them not to run around downstairs. Just as I was about to go upstairs, Xiao Mu suddenly ran over. Wait. I'll go with you. When we went upstairs, I looked back uneasily and glanced at Ingzi at the door. I saw that the girl's eyes were staring straight at my back. That gaze was like looking at a dead person. Went up to the 4th floor in one breath. Counting the door numbers, 4111, 4112, 4118. This is it. The phone was on with its flashlight. I struggled to find among a bunch of keys. Just then, in the dark corridor, Xiao Mu suddenly exclaimed, Hey! Have you noticed that something is following us? He looked anxiously towards the depths of the stairs. I always feel like something is coming up the stairs. Damn. Don't startle me like that. I'm concentrating on finding the keys. When Xiao Mu said that, I cursed out loud. I didn't lie to you. He shrugged his neck. At this moment, all the light was focused on the keychain in my palm. Darkness surrounded us on all sides, and I couldn't see my own fingers when I reached out. It seems like that thing is getting closer. I feel like it's already upstairs on the 3rd floor. I'm feeling creeped out by what Xiao Mu said. Gradually, I also started to have the same feeling. Haven't found it yet? Hurry up. Otherwise, we should quickly run. Don't rush me. I am looking for it. Moving faster, but the more rushed I am, the less likely I will find it. Damn it. Why are there so many keys in this building? The cold sweat kept dripping down from my forehead. I truly felt it. Something is rapidly approaching in the unseen darkness behind me. Hurry! Xiao Mu's urging voice began to tremble. It seems like there are a few pale hands reaching out in the darkness. The key is finally found. I didn't even have time to grab my camera. Grabbing Xiao Mu to enter dorm room 4118. The cameras didn't have time to bring them. Fortunately, they were still working properly outside the door. I took out my phone and watched the live stream. At this moment, the live stream was showing the scene in the hallway. In the deep darkness, you could vaguely see a blood-red skirt swaying outside the door. I looked at my phone in horror. I recalled all the legends about the campus in my mind, but none of them seemed to mention the existence of a red skirt. Now that the door is blocked and I can't get out anyway, I can't care about that much. I might as well search the room. There are 4 girls living in room 4118. The beds are all on the 2nd floor, while the 1st floor has desks and wardrobes. I tried to search through it. Some letters fell out among some scrap paper and test papers. The letters are love letters from Junjiegwa to Mengtingshin. The packaging is in very good condition. All the love letters have not been opened. It seems that this Junjiegwa is just a spare tire that can be used at will in Mengtingshin's heart. The first letter was 6 years ago. I opened the envelope. As expected, there was a drum toy inside with a confession written on it that took all the courage to write. The second and third letters are still confessions. But by the fourth letter, I read something strange. Why did you give him the gift I gave you? Why did you make me run errands for him? Why did you make me hide in the closet to watch you both being intimate? Why did you purposely show your body in front of him? Don't you know how much that tortures me? Upon reading this, I stroked my chin. To make someone perish, you must first drive them crazy. Junjiegwa's sanity is gradually being worn away by Mengtingshin. Open the fifth letter. This letter was sent 5 years ago. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Please don't ignore me. I'm willing to do anything for you. I'm even willing to be your dog. There are only monsters in this school. You're the only exception. I can't live without you. I will be obedient. I will do whatever you say. In the letter, Junjiegwa kept crying and begging.